Hello. Today we're going to talk about the next chapter in your curriculum, Chapter 5. And Chapter 5 provides the TESOL teacher with a basic overview of classroom management and specific suggestions for arranging the classroom, interacting with learners, as well as delivering and monitoring classroom activities. So you can see these again are very basic considerations for teachers. And when you think about it, we walk into a classroom, what do we find there? Tables, desks, chairs. They're in some kind of arrangement, and we sit down and we begin the learning tasks. But really what educators think about more all the time now is how that arrangement really affects the learning that happens in the classroom. And that's changed a lot over the years. We know that maybe 20, 30 years ago, at least in Canada, there was a very formal arrangement in the classroom, and children sat in uncomfortable, hard wooden desks in straight lines. And then over the years, that has changed to more informal groupings in the classroom, to circles, to clusters, and all kinds of different arrangements. And basically, what we really think about now is how the specific learning task can be supported and enhanced by the arrangement in the classroom. So one kind of arrangement doesn't fit all learning tasks. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of our considerations about groupings and seatings in the classroom as they're related to individual, paired, and group work. And classroom management consists also, of course, of giving instructions and monitoring learners' work. And so we'll talk about all the different ways that a language teacher can give instructions in the classroom, and even some basic tasks for the teacher, such as learning the students' names. I've had up to 40 students in my classroom at different times, and so I've had to come up with some good tricks for learning a lot of names really quickly. So it's kind of fun to think about how we can do that. It's really important, of course, to know your students' names. And we can incorporate some fun activities and some games into that learning of the names. All right, so next we're going to talk about the error correction that a language instructor does in the classroom. And of course, with language learning, our correction is going to focus on accuracy and fluency. So the timing and the types of correction that are given are examined in detail. And this chapter also offers specific correction techniques, the phrases that a teacher can use, the kinds of facial expressions that you might use, and the gestures. Specific examples are given for each of these so that we can do the very best job we can when we are correcting our students. And then we have a general overview of good teaching practice, how teachers might position themselves in the classroom, how they move about the classroom, again, about eye contact, about how we might use our voice. We have a lot of options, and we also talk a lot about the learning that's going on, and we use the expression meta-language to describe this. And this enables us to establish rapport with our students, which is really very basically the most important thing that we do. We develop a connection with the learners in our classrooms. This chapter also includes a helpful list of classroom practices that can help support the learning from the beginning to the end of a learning task. So how do we direct a learning task from the beginning through the learning that happens in the middle, and then the wrapping up and the summarizing. So that's what we're going to talk about. A lot of practical, detailed information and techniques in this chapter. All right, so now we're going to talk about the task that accompanies Chapter 5, which, as you know now, is all about classroom management. So as teachers, we have so many roles and responsibilities in the classroom. We're role models and facilitators and mentors, and we're ultimately responsible for the learning that takes place. So management sounds like a serious word, but basically that's what we have to do, and that's what we will have talked about in detail, so many facets of that management. So when you come to do the task, what you're going to be asked to do is, there are two parts of this. The first one part of it, section 1, you're going to determine the best kinds of groupings for particular tasks. The tasks are going to be outlined, and I'll give you an example. Okay. First of all, you can choose whole class, pair work, group work, or solo work. Okay, and for each of those, you're going to be able to use an abbreviation. For whole class, you're just going to put a W. For pair work, a P, group work, G, and so on. So here's the first question. Students choose one of 3 alternatives when faced with a moral dilemma. So a moral dilemma. Students are thinking about a difficult situation. Oh my goodness, they're on a lifeboat, 4 of them, and there's food for 3, something like that. They've got to talk about it. That might be a lot of complexity for a whole class to think about. It might be hard to kind of manage that discussion. What do you think? Maybe groups of 3 students could really tie into that question. If you think it's group work, then you would put a G in the blank beside question number 1, and then so on. You'll see some interesting other examples. Number 2, students design a website for a school or special interest group. So then we have a whole aspect there where they're going to be interacting with technology, probably sitting at computer stations. So possibly, pair work, and then you would put a P, and so on. So that's what you do for the first section. And then for section 2 of this task, you will imagine that you want your students to do the activity below. And the activity is actually a matching the opposites. And so what you're going to be asked to do here is to decide what instructions you would give the students in advance of their completing this activity. And you'll write them out as though you're going to say them to the class. And anytime you're going to be writing out these answers, you'll actually type them. So you would want to print out this task sheet and then be able to, have, maybe you'll scan it, but in any case, you'll be able to type in your answer. Okay, so that completes the task for chapter number 5.